The faction shrouded in mystery, the Revolutionary Army. Depending on who you are and what headcanon you believe, you either think one or two things about Dragon's backstory, and that's that either he was a former member of the Marines or he was a former CP0 agent. Now, whichever theory you subscribe to, we don't have to get too much into that right now, because what I need you to do is press that subscribe button and then turn on notifications so that you're notified whenever content drops in the future. I'm trying to be more consistent with this, and seeing that would definitely help in that regard. Now, I personally believe that Dragon was a member of CP0, but whether if it's the Marines or CP0, we don't have to fight about it right now, because both fall in line with the fact that both of these organizations resort to infiltrative tactics, espionage, and gathering intel if they deem that a threat is too dangerous. We've seen X-Drake infiltrate Kaido's crew, and then we've also seen Stussy infiltrate Big Mom's crew, and to a lesser degree we saw Corazon acting as a double agent in Dofi's crew. If Dragon was indeed a member of one of these organizations, then wouldn't he have had access to all of this different training, information, and these resources? Furthermore, wouldn't he have brought that over to his own organization? So that leads me to believe that Dragon is trying to destroy the system of the three great powers from the inside out. So what we're here today to talk about is a mega theory, and that is that the secret members of the Revolutionary Army, Vegapunk and Fujitora specifically. So let's start with Vegapunk. All throughout the time skip, we have been given sprinkles of information here and there about Vegapunk, dating all the way back to Punk Hazard. And with this information, we have an even more in-depth look between the world government and Vegapunk. Back in Whole Cake Island, Yanji is explaining to Sanji about their father's past. He reveals that together with Vegapunk, Judge discovered the lineage factor, and as a result, Vegapunk was arrested by the world government and Judge narrowly escaped. The world government captured Vegapunk and seemed to be keeping him against his will because of his intellect, because he found out what the lineage factor was and how to use it. The former research team was reportedly disbanded or absorbed by the world government as well, and these could have been people that were really important to Vegapunk. Maybe a sense of camaraderie was there for his science team. This raises skepticism in me that Vegapunk may actually resent the world government. Further information was recently revealed by CP0 about Vegapunk getting his hands on Kaido's lineage factor and thus creating an artificial devil fruit, or experimenting to create an artificial devil fruit, which we all know was Momonosuke's. And Vegapunk reported to the world government that the experiment was a failure, while actually succeeding to create the fruit. So there's a sense of rebellion right there. There's a sense of, I'm gonna do what I wanna do. And I'm gonna tell you what I wanna tell you because I'm smart and you're not. Or because you're not as smart as me. So I think that Vegapunk may actually resent the world government for holding him against his will for all this time. What I always found interesting about the dynamic between Dragon and Kuma's plan was that Dragon got absolutely nothing in return for what seemed to be his right-hand man, and on top of that, one of the strongest characters in the verse. Now I say plan because even though Kuma did a complete 180 and he was a part of the world government after being the right-hand man in the Revolutionaries, he was still loyal to Dragon nonetheless. I believe that Kuma joined the revolution or joined the world government initially to sway Vegapunk to join the Revolutionaries, or maybe to initially bring him out. And maybe there was some type of connection, or maybe he couldn't get Vegapunk out as easily as he thought he could. So Dragon may have heard that the world government was holding Vegapunk against his will and devised a plan to get him to join his side. So Dragon will get a return for sacrificing his right-hand man, but it won't come until possibly a deciding moment in the final war. And we'll get more into that in a second. So Vegapunk and Kuma seem to spend some time together, as I alluded to. And during that time, I think that Kuma and Vegapunk developed a relationship, which led to him inevitably joining the Revolutionary Army. And now Kuma is the universal control for all of SSG, which I believe are upgraded pacifistas. If I were to guess what SSG is, then I would say that Vegapunk figured out how to put multiple devil fruit powers into a pacifista. on top of the already upgraded pacifista that they were already creating. Maybe they're able to read movements faster, pick up on attack patterns faster. Maybe they're all sea stone. So during the final war, all of the pacifista, or SSG, will turn on the world government. They'll turn on the world government, joining Dragon's side, and Dragon will finally get a return for his investment. Finally getting a return for sacrificing his right-hand man. That's like Roger sacrificing Rayleigh, Luffy sacrificing Zoro, and getting absolutely nothing for that sacrifice. So to wrap all of this up, or to wrap up the Vegapunk section, Kuma infiltrates the government via the hole in the three great powers, the warlord system. And he helps Vegapunk to join the Revolutionary Army and offers his body as research. It's a fair trade between the two for a common goal or for a plan. So now on to Fujitora. So for starters, Fujitora seemingly appears out of nowhere. And remember what we're talking about. We're talking about Dragon sending in people into these organizations so that he can break it from the inside out. So someone coming seemingly out of nowhere, they're pretty strong. So he was drafted by the Marines to increase their military might over the 2-year time skip. And from the very beginning, it seems that he marches to the beat of his own drum. Everything that Fujitora has done is to go completely and utterly against the world government. Not the Marines, not pirates, and not even the revolutionaries for that matter. He seems to have his sights set solely on the world government. He also has the strange goal of wanting to abolish the warlord position. This is the same warlord position that Kuma initially got into the world government, which they all exploited. And even with that goal, he doesn't intend to capture each warlord after abolishing the position. So there's no personal grievances against pirates. Once again, he just wants to break the system like he was telling Green Bull during the Reverie, which was the only reason he was there in the first place, to advocate for the abolishment of the warlord system. So during Dressrosa, Fuji inevitably decides to stay out of the conflict between Luffy and Dofi, and decides that Luffy should be the one to take down Dofi, another pirate, because the world government was the very organization to give Dofi free reign in the first place. After the Battle of Dressrosa, what does Fujitora do? He made sure to apologize to all of the people of the country of Dressrosa, and even their king, especially their king, not on behalf of the Marines, but on behalf of the world government. And he made sure that this was publicized. Now, where things get really interesting to me is in the fact that Fujitora and Vegapunk seem to work together, or they seem to have some type of rapport. Green Bull asked Fujitora casually, "How's old man Vegapunk?" And then in a panel I want you to pay very close attention to, Fujitora speaks on the SSG. After Act 2 ends, and we see the abolition of the warlord system, we see all of the Marines heading towards these warlords. Mihawk warns Perona, "Hey, you better get out of here." Fujitora is talking on a Den Mushi. He's talking to Akainu, and he specifically says, "The warlord system is no longer needed. We should all put our faith in the SSG." Now remember at the beginning of the video what I speculated on to be the case for Vegapunk and SSG during the final war. Not only did Fujitora advocate for the warlord system to be abolished, but he's also advocating for the replacement, which is being led and developed by none other than Vegapunk. With all of these moving pieces in place, the three great powers, and how Dragon wants to destroy the system from the inside out, the world government decided to move on from the warlord system because there's way too many ways to exploit it. We've seen this with Blackbeard, Dofi, Crocodile, just to name a few. With all this in mind, Dragon would have successfully taken out 2 of the 3 great powers, one being SSG, and the second would be the overall power of the admirals, because Fujitora would reveal his real loyalty and allegiance is with the Revolutionaries. Before the end of the series, we will see the collapse of every one of the great powers. Let me know what you guys think of this down in the comment section below.